This lighting is terrible. This lighting's terrible, but let me see if I can do something about that quick. Ugh. Big, expensive light. Let's bounce it off the wall. Oh, that's better. Yeah. My first time live streaming with my phone, so yeah. Come on. Exposure on this live stream is terrible. Move over here out of the sunlight a little bit. Hey folks, how goes it? I wish this would expose worth a damn. Anytime now you could stop doing this. Whatever. Thank you, Brian. It's been fun. Let me get, folks, let me know how this sounds, if it sounds like crap or what. So I'm just using my cell phone. Unfortunately, my laptop is out of commission at the moment. There's no Wi-Fi here in the garage for me to use any of my other camera setups. So, okay, cool. So, we're just doing this August live stream. I missed it July. I've been trying to do once a month for the year 2020 so far. And I was doing good until July. We got too busy with the truck and all this stuff, so I haven't had a chance to really do it. I was pumping out more videos, obviously. Now, with my laptop kind of damaged, I'm in between things, so August live stream. So, yeah. I mean, the headline of this thing, I might as well just mention it. Since No SEMA 2020, I had no intention of going to SEMA personally this year. I got so sick last year with the flu that I wasn't going to risk with COVID going on, like not going to happen for me. And yeah, so I'm not shocked. I was more shocked that they kept pushing so hard saying they were going to do it. But it's gone now, doesn't matter. There's talk of it being possibly some type of virtual event, so I am still signed up with my media credentials and all that to try and still participate in some way, but we'll see. Who knows? If it is a virtual event, I'm sure it'll be pretty lame, but hopefully I can at least bring you folks some new products and new stuff. Maybe be something to see. Yeah, I don't blame you playing it by ear. What are you gonna do? Like, I understood why people wanted to go, obviously. And just, for me personally, the biggest problem for me is it's just a bad situation for me because I work from like when I wake up 7 a.m., 6:30 a.m. each day of SEMA until midnight most nights. I don't get off the show floor until I have to. I don't get out of, hi Bob. I don't get out of the media center until they kick me out of the media center. I avoid the traffic like that. And it's such a pain. Like it takes a lot out of me. I don't know what it is with me personally. I'm just not the person who can work 16-hour days, day after day. You know, some people might want to say it's a work ethic thing, but it kills my immune system. I have Lyme disease, and while it seems to be totally in check, I swear it tanks my immune system when I work too hard. So, is what it is. I get like eczema breakouts, and I'm sure that's why I got the flu last year. Is just I was working so hard, immune system took a dump, and just all those people, it's gonna happen. Going into up to like a month or two ago, up to like 2 months ago, I was thinking like Brian, you're saying I was gonna play it by ear. I was gonna sign up, I was gonna keep going. But the further things just keep going with the way the world is right now, the more it became clear to me that there was no chance I was going. PRI, they are claiming, is still on, but they were claiming SEMA. I literally got an email within 3 or 4 days before the cancellation email from SEMA saying that SEMA was still on. They're not going to cancel the event until they have to cancel the event, most likely. So PRI might still occur. Most likely I won't attend that either. Granted, December in Indianapolis, probably not a bad time to be having an event like that. I don't know. I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that they say in some of their email stuff that hate this lighting in this shop, that they services and such. So like, I'm assuming their security people and their cleaning crews and all of that, they feel we're going to be limited to their access for the event. So it makes sense. You know, if you can't get security people to work and enforce your regulations, what are you going to do? And wow, let's look back here. Mike, yeah, I don't want to get into a huge thing about that, but I can't say I disagree with the concept that if people might have taken things a little more seriously a little sooner on. I've been in North Carolina for the last couple of months, and I came from Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, people were taking things very, very seriously, and I wore a mask and gloves when I went to the grocery store, and everybody else was doing the same. I came to North Carolina, and nobody was doing any of that. And now Massachusetts is doing a lot better than North Carolina is doing now. They're talking about, I saw on the news here in Charlotte this morning, they're talking about possibility of another shutdown in the near future. So stinks, but hopefully I'll be back in Pennsylvania by then. But even then, when I head back to Pennsylvania, technically because I'm leaving North Carolina, I should quarantine for 2 weeks when I get back to Pennsylvania. And so I'm tempted to go get a test and get tested for it and just quarantine until I get my test results. And then when I hopefully comes back negative, then I can go back about my life. I'm still not intending to be around people. And, oh, I forgot you're an NC, sorry. All right, Ryan, you are, yeah, sorry, I'm getting confused. The chat on the cell phone is not very good. I wish I could have my tablet here, but I don't have any Wi-Fi in here to use that. So anyway, how's everybody doing otherwise? I'm starting to film the hardline tubing work on the truck. See you, Brian. I've got a hardline tubing I'm working on this thing, and AM fittings and all of that. So on the truck right now, what I've got left that I've been intending to do is I've got the hardline tubing and the AM plumbing for the fuel system, the air system. I've got the AC system plumbing I want to do. I'm going to do a dedicated video about at least 1 or 2 of those. I'm definitely doing a dedicated video about the AM plumbing, the hardline tubing, and how I'm doing that. The folks at Red Horse Performance were kind enough to supply a host of fittings for this project to get this project rolling the way I want it to. So I got to do a video about that. The AC plumbing, I've done a video of an AC install in the past, but I haven't done a video about how I plumb AC systems. So I'm going to do that on this truck. I'm going to show how it is that I plumb an AC system with hardline tubing and soft tubing, crimping my own hoses. I'm going to demonstrate all of that in a video on this truck. The wiring kit is right here. That's the wiring kit for the truck. And I'm going to be I'm doing 2 wiring videos. I have so much left on my plate. I got to wire the body with the American Auto wire harness that's up there. So the lights, tail lights, fuel pump, all of that. And then the engine, I have a full wiring harness to do on that as well. The LS based engine that's in this thing. I'm not doing a turnkey harness in this. I have a harness from the folks at EFI or PSI Conversions. Wow. From PSI Conversions, that is a fly-by-wire or a builder series harness, which means that I have to individually wire the PCM myself, but it means that I can wire it as clean as I want, and I'll probably do a dedicated video about that. So I got 4 solid dedicated videos that I want to film, and I'd like to be done in the next week and a half. I think I am way undershooting how long that's going to take. Ryan, you got a baby on the way. Good for you. That's I was just hanging out with my nephew. My sister has a 2-year-old. He just turned 2 actually this past week, but he's a handful. I don't believe I'm fairly certain at this point that I'm probably never going to have children, and I'm perfectly okay with that, I think. my animals and my projects are my children, I guess. Oh, yes. So, yeah. I don't know. Anybody have any questions to throw at me? I just wanted to come in here and hang out with you folks for a little bit. I didn't have a video for you this week. I didn't want to do just another update video. While I know some people do find that interesting, I didn't want to do that. I'd rather chat with you folks a little bit, do something a little bit different for once. I'll probably have another update video. I'll absolutely have another update video, an overview of what we've done on this project sometime in the not too distant future. Oh, if anybody's seen, oh, you just got a puppy as well. Whew. Handful. If anybody has seen my posts on Instagram, I put them on Instagram, TikTok. I haven't gotten any here on YouTube yet of the C10 pickup truck that MRC Fab, Jimmy Bullard and his folks had put together. That freaking sick truck that's out at the Pro Touring Truck Shootout this weekend. I filmed a full dedicated video on that, so look out for that. Oh, coffee. Look out for that video in the not too distant future. It is a 978 horsepower, naturally aspirated LS7 based engine in the thing. It's got full custom suspension with coilover shocks that are the hydro shocks from the folks at Mintler Brothers. So they are the hydraulic adjustable height coilovers on the thing, so it can lay frame, but then it can pick up to ride height for racing or driving down the street. Fully adjustable, so much going on. I got to take a ride in the thing. I filmed it, just a walk around of it, and it running around. We took it out on this parking lot because he's autocross racing with it. So we just practiced autocross racing, and he and his crew adjusted the suspension all day long. We were out there baking in the sun, working on it. I was just filming and photographing, but really neat. I'm looking forward to that. Scott, were there any new parts or anything I was particularly looking forward to at SEMA? No. I mean, what I mean by that is I don't go there expecting anything. Tools, I always want to see new tools. I always want to see new parts. I just look for anything new I can find when I'm there. And there's nothing that I've been on my mind or catching on the horizon that I've seen lately that I haven't seen in person or anything else. 2020 has been a slow year because of just how 2020 is, you know. AccuAir doesn't exist anymore, so there's not going to be an AccuAir booth there this year. Yeah, there wasn't really anything catching my eye lately that I've been looking forward to seeing or checking out, unfortunately. Let's check here. Boost and shoe, or boost and hoe. As far as the, I'm actually, I don't know if you just joined in, I'm actually working on another hardline tubing video right now. That's what I'll be working on after I get off of this stream. I'll be back on it. I'm doing all the lines on this truck. And what we're looking at here, the NICOP stuff, the nickel copper stuff, I've used it. I've used it numerous times. I don't like it. It's good for the repair industry in that, you know, your local mechanic shop can easily replace the rusted steel lines and it will last a lot longer than those lines do. But it's too soft. So when I'm doing my nice clean bends, it'll flatten out in the bends a little bit too much, or it'll get a weird radius to it, or when you try to install it'll move too much because it bends far. Like, you know, I'm putting pretty much effort into this. This is stainless, and this is not bending. I could bend it if I really want to, but the nickel copper, that same effort would have bent it into a horseshoe. So I don't like it for that respect. I also had way more leak problems flaring that stuff than I have anything else. I think the problem is that it's just too soft. So when I use it, it flares funky or something. Even using my good hydraulic flaring tool, it still leaves weird flares on it for some reason, and it just never does. What I've actually found with that stuff is when you do a double flare and you use the tapered cone to finish off the double flare, I actually don't finish it all the way. I just roll it in, and then I let tightening the fitting onto the caliper or whatever actually finish the flare on that nickel copper stuff, because it's the only way I get a good leak-free flare on that stuff. So for me on this truck, I'll be doing stainless steel lines with AN fittings. Depending on your local inspections and your vehicle code, AN plumbing is not technically legal. Most states, I believe, in the US require double flare on brake line fittings. I think the reason that they do that is they don't want people using compression fittings more than AN. I think it's mostly when they wrote those kinds of codes, they weren't even familiar with doing things like this. So why would they have written that into the code? Because this is aeronautic industry is where AN comes from, Army, Navy. So I'll be doing AN fittings on this. It's one of those things where off-road use only, I can't recommend that people do it, but I will probably, I don't know if I'll do a dedicated video on this truck about how I do brake lines. The hard part with brake lines and AN fittings and stainless steel, I only recommend doing stainless steel. Aluminum is too soft. Steel, you could do. That NICOP stuff, when it comes to doing the single flare, I think it's too soft, and I really worry about the single flare strength with the nickel copper for AN fittings, so I only use stainless steel doing it. Yeah, I don't know. I might do a dedicated video about it on this truck. I just don't know. It's one of those things that it's hard because I can't tell people to do it. I can't say, hey, here's what I do on street cars. Like, it's a liability problem for me to even have that discussion, unfortunately. Mike, you mentioned that a lot of the companies that are at SEMA are from China. That's accurate. I don't know if a lot is, people overblow the number of Chinese vendors that are there, I think. Personally, I would say maybe a third of the attendees, maybe. I feel like I'm maybe even overblowing that number, are Chinese vendors. And the thing about the Chinese vendors at SEMA is they're not there for me or you. They're there to talk to the companies. They want to talk to the people making this tool and say, hey, we can manufacture that for you at XYZ pricing. That's why they're there. I've tried to have discussions with some of the Chinese vendors that are there before about some of the tools they had on display. Like, I'll see tools there that I've not seen from any company because none of these companies have picked them up from these vendors yet. And I'm interested in them, but I can't pick up hundreds of them. And they're not going to sell me one, or they don't want to give me one to review, because literally when I talk to these people, they're asking me who might be interested in buying a pallet of them from, so if I can point them to somebody, that's what they're interested in. So is what it is. Right. Oh, heck. So, how's everybody else's weekend going? I've got to get this. If I'm going to get, I want to get back to Philadelphia soon. Like, I moved to Philadelphia. I moved all of my stuff into my new house, moved all my equipment into storage in a friend's shop for now. And I slept in my room with boxes piled up for like 2 nights. And then we hit the road to North Carolina, and I've been here ever since. So when I say I moved to Philadelphia, I really haven't yet. And I'm really looking forward to getting back and getting settled. I've got a whole office studio I want to set up. I've got video projects lined up that I need to get to. And I need to find a shop. My number one thing in Philadelphia is I need to find a workshop that I can produce videos for you folks. So I've got to work on that when I get back there and find that. So yeah, and I can't do that from North Carolina. Trying to look at shops is not really happening right now. I could look on them online all day long, but it's only going to tell me so much. It is, in fact, quite hot. I am not a southerner. I don't handle this heat nearly that well anymore. I lived in Texas for a couple of years, and the one year that I lived in Texas, it was over 100 degrees for over 100 days in a row. And I survived, but I don't ever want to do that again. Very, very lucky. You can't see it. The lift is hiding it. This shop is air conditioned. My dad's shop is air conditioned. I actually just had to turn it off because it was a little bit chilly in here. Not trying to brag, but I don't know how I'll go back to having a hot shop. That's for darn sure. Do I plan on working for another shop? No. Yes, no. At the moment, I'm in a position where I don't want to. It's nothing with shops. There are a couple of really good shops in the area, in Philadelphia area, but they're all a decent commute from where I'm going to be living, which is a negative, of course. And the other thing is, I'm kind of like, I love building cars for a living. I really, really do. But I'm not 100% that I want to keep doing it for the rest of my life on a day-to-day basis. Just like my hands hurt every day. My back has been killing me lately. My feet hurt every day, you know, and I'm only in my 30s. So I worry about what my future looks like if I continue to work day in, day out in shops. So at the moment, I'm looking to get my own shop space where I can work on some project work for people and produce video content and maybe focus on my video production business when I get back to Philadelphia. I've got some project work lined up with some friends and associates, and I just need to get my name out there as far as video production work is concerned and try and maybe make something out of that, make it go out of that. Yeah, I don't know. In 2 months, I might be saying, nope, it's time to go back to a shop. Now money's running tight or whatever, and this isn't working. So I don't know. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, there's some really good shops in the Philadelphia area, and I would be absolutely interested in working with them. But I just don't know, like, for how long or what commitment there. Yeah, building cars is just a ton of work. And it's not that, like, I'm not afraid of the work or anything, but, like, some of it gets tiresome. I don't know. The last shop that I was in, I was working in a 400 square foot shop, and that was so frustrating on a daily basis to not be able to walk around a vehicle. It drove me nuts. And then, it was a good shop, and I was treated well for the most part, but I've never found a shop where I've really wholly felt at home, and that's a big part of it. I don't know. So will I can't say no. Can't say I won't go back to it for certain. It's especially building cars is my career. It's what I've been doing for the past most of the decade. I've been in the auto industry for over 15 years now, so I can't just walk away from it. Both monetarily, I can't just walk away from it, and I don't want to. So I got to find a balance and find some way to kind of make a mixture of things work for me, I think. I'm in a position at the moment where I feel like I can move forward and make a change maybe right now. Now's the time. The world's in upheaval, so why shouldn't my life be in upheaval too? Might as well make a change. Oh, Ahmad, you mentioned a good. I remember you mentioned before. He was a diesel mechanic for 18 years, left that for similar reasons, and now teaches at high school. Teaching, that's like I was talking with the makerspace back in Connecticut when I toured there last year. Sometime I did a tour video for you folks, and they were interested in me coming in there and teaching some basic metal shaping in their metal workshop, and basically what I do with you folks in video format, but in a class format. And that was intriguing to me. Like, I'm not that much of a people person, but if I'm not, like, I like teaching and I like explaining and expanding people's horizons. Like, I enjoy this. So that's entirely a possibility, something to consider. Maybe as a part-time job or something, if I could find that. I know, like, where I'm living in Philadelphia, I could almost throw a freaking softball to another makerspace. like that one in Connecticut that I did. And I can see it from my house. And I haven't been to it yet. I have no relationship with them, but I was thinking like, oh, maybe I can go in there and then feel them out and see about maybe teaching a once a week or twice a week workshop class in there for people, welding or metal shaping or something along these lines. So I don't know, maybe. It's one of those, like, if you don't, I don't know. What am I trying to say? Change is never easy. And I know that if I just continue to take the easy route, like, I'll be 100% honest with you. If I truly forever wanted to continue to be a car builder, I'd be living here in North Carolina with my family. My family's in the Charlotte area, Charlotte, Mooresville, North Carolina. They have NASCAR stuff here. You've got a ton. Roadster Shop, not Roadster Shop, they're in Illinois. Detroit Speed is here. Like, there's big companies that are here doing really cool, excellent project work, beautiful car builds happening every day here. And I mean, it's been so helpful building this truck because we're on a fairly tight timetable, and when we need parts for this truck, I can run to stores here and buy things. I need a few AN fittings that I'm missing. I sent my dad to SRI, this race shop place here yesterday, and he just picked them up. Like, I have to order them from Summit or something back in Pennsylvania, or dip into my own supply if I happen to have them. So it's really helpful. Like the roof skin that we put on the truck, like the parts for this truck we've been picking up. There's that Dave's truck parts that I mentioned a couple times in videos. We can just go get them. If I wanted to continue to be a car builder for the rest of my life, this is where I should be, or California. I was considering California at one point, and I was considering California, like after SEMA last year, but it's just too big of a move. It's not that I don't think I would like California. You know, I'm vegan, I'm the HotRodHippie. Like, I would probably like California, but it's just too large of a move from the East Coast to the West Coast for me to undertake. I've moved cross country before, and I'm not sure I feel like doing that again. But Philadelphia, I like Philly. It's where I'm from, technically, a small town outside of it, but I like it there. So, Ahmad, you mentioned you're 38 now and you switched when you were 36. Yeah, I'm 35. I just turned 35. So I feel like now is probably a good time to maybe start to switch gears and start to make some changes. And I'm not married. I don't have kids. So, like, I don't have anybody really wholly depending on me that I would be letting down if I make some changes. Like, I doubt, as long as I keep my cat's bowl full and my dog, take her for walks, like, I'm good. So, Ryan, you almost left restoration when the shop closed, but now you're working a mile from your place. That's excellent. Like, the last shop that I was working at was 60 miles one way for me to get from my house to there or from there back home every day in New Hampshire. And that was the best quality shop I could find in Massachusetts. It's why a large part of why I left Massachusetts is there's decent little hot rod shops and things in Massachusetts, but nothing that felt like a fit for me at all. That shop in New Hampshire was the best fit that I was able to find, but it was an hour and 20 minutes one way each day. So I was spending almost 3 hours every single day of my life. Only 4 days a week, thankfully, because we worked 4 10s, but 4 days a week I would spend, 3 hours basically. I was losing 12 hours a week in just driving to and from work. In Philadelphia, where I'm at now, I know of some good quality shops there that I don't know if they would have me or not. I've talked to them. I talked to them at the very beginning of the year when I was considering moving back to Pennsylvania, and COVID hit since then, so I haven't been in touch with them. I don't know where their businesses are at, and I don't want to push in on anybody. But when I was, those shops are like an hour from where I'll be in the city. In the city of Philadelphia, there are some custom shops, but not my kind of custom shop. More like rim shops, lowering shops, people doing mild custom stuff, nothing like I do. So I'm not sure there'd be a really good fit. The neatest thing in Philadelphia to me is there is the a similar concept to the Peterson Museum. It's the Doctor something. There's a museum, a car museum in Philadelphia, that similar concept to the Peterson Museum out in LA, but it's in Philadelphia. Wow, the name is escaping me. Simeon, the Simeon Foundation. Dr. Simeon had a car collection, and he just started the museum. I thought about like maybe, you know, working for or approaching them and seeing if they couldn't use somebody either in their shop, you know, if they have their own dedicated mechanics, or maybe in media production. Somebody, I think that I'm trying to sell myself, I guess, but I think having my background in cars while also pursuing video production gives me a unique perspective. Like, I could hire any videographer to film a car, but hiring somebody who builds cars to film, I feel like I would know better what to highlight on a vehicle or what is intriguing about a vehicle because I know more about that. I don't know. I could be wrong. I might be out of touch with what the general person out in the world wants. So, yeah, it is hard to find shops that are quality over quantity. You know, that shop in New Hampshire, we did a few cars a year. There were only 3 of us there, my boss, coworker, and myself, and we did a couple of cars a year, 2, 3, you know, with little project work here and there, you know, brake jobs and whatever thrown in the mix. And that's hard. It's hard to find a shop who is willing to work in that environment. Hi, Felix. It's hard to find somebody who's willing to work on a small scale like that and doesn't want to, you know, I've worked for shops that had 30,000 square foot facilities, and it was 10 guys and cars upon cars upon cars, and everything was always, it felt like it was so high stress. Everything was always worrying about the bottom line because there was so much overhead and there was so much going on at any given time. I got frustrated with the shop in New Hampshire in some ways because he kind of always wanted to be small, but I don't blame him for that. Like, I don't blame him for not wanting to have that overhead and wanting to have, I get that. The only thing that frustrated me about it was I just wanted to have more workshop space so I didn't feel claustrophobic every day. But, you know, what are you going to do? It's not my place to dictate such things. You know, my dad mentioned that working here in his shop, he's got like, I want to say it's 1,500 square feet here. I don't know. I forget. I keep forgetting the numbers. And like, it's barely enough to do this truck, at least with the stuff that he's got in here. You know, if it was my tools and equipment in here, not his stuff, there'd be a little more room because I can kind of organize a little differently. But if I had to do 2 vehicles in here, forget about it. Like, it's so, and he was saying, like, my dad was saying that you should do a video about how you need space. And I'm like, I agree with you, but also a lot of my viewers are homeowners or, you know, home warriors or weekend warriors that they can't dedicate. Like, I have people legitimately ask me questions about like what they should do working outside. And I can't answer them to a good level because I do this on a daily basis. I'm not working under a tent. I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. Good for you for getting out there and doing it with what you've got. Awesome. But for me to give tips on that, it's not a world that I work in, so it's hard to do. You know, when I lived in Texas, we used to work outside all the time because it's hot inside, it's hot outside. Didn't freaking matter there, and it didn't rain that much. So we were in out all the time. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, and it's hard for me to tell people, oh yeah, you need space. Great, that sounds great. What am I going to do about a video about that? Like, you know, hey, get a bigger house. Like, I need space. I don't have a good enough workshop space right now, so which that's a thing. Hopefully, if it works out like I'm hoping it will when I get back to Philadelphia and I go shopping for a workshop, hopefully maybe I'll do a video series about that, what I'm looking for in a shop and what I think I need for my type of facility, and maybe folks can glean something for that, from that, for what they might, things like, you know, an ideal for me would be 3-phase power in a facility. Why? Because used equipment that is available from government auctions and companies going out of business, 3-phase power equipment is more affordable. Oh, excuse me. is more affordable. It's easier to find. It's cheaper on the average because not everybody can buy it. So the market is limited on customers. So like three-phase power would be an excellent thing to have. You can get phase converters, but that's an additional cost, and you know, whatever. They're noisy for my video production stuff. Noise is a problem, and I need to keep things quiet. Here, my dad's, his shop is like 100 feet off of the road, and you might have heard it in videos, you might hear it now, traffic going by here all day long. It's fine for right now, but it's not the type of situation I could really work in every day. Yeah, you've passed on so many great tools because of the three-phase. Like that's just and a lot of these tools when we're talking about, Leo, hi. A lot of these tools when we're talking about them, you know, a press brake, a lathe, you can't just put a one-phase motor on it. Like you can, but you have to go to like a bigger motor. If you're talking about a 5 horsepower motor for a lathe, that could be a $500, $600 motor. Some of these phase converters are $500, $600. Like it all adds up. But then triple phase power is also just, you know, expensive. It can be. You know, ideally for me, it would have to be like I'd find a workshop in the back of a industrial park or something where it's just the building just happens to have three-phase power already. And, you know, I don't know, hopefully I can find something like that. I saw a question there. Jared, you asked, any advice for an entry-level metal fabricator starting out at a well-known shop here in California? The best advice I can give for you starting out, especially if it's a good quality, well-known shop, is shut the hell up and just listen. You know, just be willing to do whatever you're told to do, as long as you feel comfortable with what they're asking of you. And there's another important one. It's good to go outside of your comfort zone, but it's also good to give people expectations of that. You know, if somebody says, hey, could you do this? And you think you can, but you've never done it before, be willing to have that conversation. Be willing to say, I'm pretty certain I can do that. I haven't done it before, but I feel like this and this experience has led me to the fact that I think I can handle that. Because you don't want to just be like, yeah, I can do that. And then you fail. And then that's the stuff where people get fired, I feel like, is when you overpromise, underdeliver. It's better to set some expectations and say, I believe that I am capable of handling this. I can do that, but you should know that I've never done it before. Not to a customer, of course. The customer interaction is a different story, but for an employer, that's a good way of going about it. And yeah, just like I've had far too many jobs in this business as a fabricator and a custom car builder, and I've learned something at every job, even if there's no good way to put it. Even if my bosses didn't know nearly as much as I knew about building and being a fabricator, I still learned things from them. Everybody has something to teach. The person sweeping the floor probably has a grain of knowledge, a tidbit of knowledge that is going to be helpful and useful. And it's important to know that. So yeah, best advice I can give to somebody new starting out, shut up, sit back, pick up any information you can, and just dedicate yourself and be a hard worker. But also, if you really feel like you have something to contribute and you have you might have something from your childhood that you learned that might just be valuable to people. And so don't be afraid to throw in your 2 cents too. You know? So I hope that's useful, helpful. Steven, you said you're looking for a garage or a house with garage. I commiserate with you. I mean, I'm not in the house market. I'm a millennial, so you know we don't value buying homes. I guess I don't know, but I'm more worried about the shop than I am about the house. I don't really care where I lay my head for the most part. That's part of that whole single and no children thing. So I'm Philadelphia. I've got a house with a friend of mine, one of my best friends, and we're splitting a house, and he's a tattoo artist who also does mural art, amazing murals for different cities, city of Philadelphia and other cities. And he's focused on his art. I'm gonna be focused on my work. So hopefully I'll be able to find a workshop to continue doing what I wanna do. Whatever happens, if I can't find a shop, I'm gonna continue to make videos. I will find a way. You know, even if all I do is shop tours until I can find a video or even if all I do is, go film some other facility or car features or something. I'm going to keep making videos, try and show you folks something. There's no end in sight. So I have a video as part of that I don't want to give away just yet, but I can promise you the video production process up until now, for the first 2 to 3 years of the HotRodHippie channel, has been low rent, I guess. I don't know how to put that. That won't give it away. But I was working in a very, very small facility up until now, so I can make something work. I'll find a space that'll work. The next project that I really want to undertake myself, I really need to get it built, is my Triumph motorcycle. I can do custom fuel tank, custom fender. I've been mentioning this on the channel for like 1.5 years now. So to build a motorcycle, I don't need a 3,000 foot facility. A hole in the wall, I could build a motorcycle. So that might be, I might just have to rent a small facility for a little while, build that bike, and maybe I can turn around and sell the bike and have some capital to invest in a bigger place and go from there. I don't know yet, but hopefully I should be able to line up something pretty good. So, anybody have any questions about the project or about the truck? I don't know if there's anything I haven't mentioned in videos that you've been interested in lately, something I skipped over. Any questions for me? Yeah, I've been focusing on getting that thing done and video production left and right. Putting a lot of misspent effort, I guess, but I've been putting a bunch of effort into TikTok lately. I don't know if any of you are my TikTok followers or not, but it's my absolute best platform. I've got almost 21,000 subscribers on here, and I've got like 58,000 followers on TikTok. So it's been doing well for me, and it's weird. Very, very weird, but there's a possibility TikTok's going away now, so might be a misspent effort, I guess. And that's not true. It's taught me some things about quick production, about getting information across quickly, and I know plenty of people have subscribed to the YouTube channel and my Instagram page from it, so there's value there. Steven, can you update the belt drive on a 2004 and earlier LS to accept 2005 drive belt setup? Yes, you can. You have to look at the two main factors in LS drive assemblies, accessory drive, is the water pump and the crank pulley. Those are the things that dictate pretty much everything up until you're talking I don't want to say Gen 4, because Gen 4 stuff does cross over. Gen 5, I guess we're on to now with the LT motors. That's a different animal. But if you're talking like the 65 here, I've got a water pump off of an LS3, which is a Gen 4 motor. So that's like a 2012 motor. I got a water pump off of that. The crank pulley here is a truck crank pulley, which is the same offset distance belt orientation as the LS3 engine. It's also the shallowest setup. Basically, you just gotta match your crank pulley and your water pump to whatever drive belt system you're looking to run, and as long as that will fit within your engine compartment, you're fine. You can swap it. There's the bolt hole locations in the heads and the block and all that are the same, or within 1 or 2 holes difference that you should have no issues. If you're looking at a dual alternator setup, you're looking like a L92 engine, so like the newer 6.2 liter stuff. Yeah, I would just like if you're looking for like factory accessory drive stuff, just get everything. Whatever vehicle you're working off, get the crank pulley, get the water pump, get the accessory brackets. You can always get a new water pump later or whatever. Like I just picked up an AC Delco water pump for this truck, and that's what I put on it. I like the LS3 water pumps better than the LS1 or the factory truck water pumps that you can run on these engines. Because of the orientation of the ports on them, I like the LS3 one best personally. So that's what I primarily use on builds. Am I running a Terminator X on the truck? No. I was really tempted to, but I was very close to it. But I don't need it. It just, it doesn't fit this build. This truck is a stock 6-liter engine out of a 2004 2500 HD. And it's actually, my dad bought the truck that this engine came out of new. And he drove it 150,000 miles, and then like a tree fell on it, somebody T-boned it. He fixed it up a couple of times, and then finally he just said, forget it. And he got another truck, and we pieced together a truck out of the two of them. And this engine got set by the side and went into here. So since it's factory, I don't need the adjustability and the control that a Holley aftermarket system like the Terminator would give us. I like them. I've used them a couple of times on projects, and I have to say I've used Big Stuff 3, I've used Fast XFI, and I've used Holley injector systems, a couple of different ones, and the Holley has been my favorite so far. So I was really considering it on this build, but I can get a factory computer for a couple $100. Hey, Rick, nice to see you there. I can get a factory computer for less than $100. I have the tuning capability. I have HP tuners on my laptop, so I can tune the ECM in this thing. And I got a fly-by-wire harness for it from PSI Conversion, so I can make the harness like I would if I was doing a Holley injection system. And all of that was less than $1,000, whereas the Terminator system, I believe, is like $2,500. And it's just, when I was looking at the budget for this build, it just didn't make sense. You know, we're not looking to make horsepower. Maybe I'll tune this thing. I'd like to get this on the dyno and maybe do a video about that. I want to talk with there's a tuner in Georgia that I'm familiar with from Instagram. I'd like to get with him on maybe doing a joint video about tuning this thing. So we'll try and make some horsepower with it, but nothing crazy. Oh, Rick's Rods. Hello, thanks for checking in. I haven't seen you posting much lately on TikTok. I'll be back in Pennsylvania soon. Oh, any suggestions on a substitute bed mount fuel tank for all the rear tanks I've come across are 63 and up? Yeah, the 60 to 62s are a little oh, you deleted your TikTok. Okay. All the 60 to 62s are problematic in the way the frames are. I've not done a 60 to 62, so I can't say for sure what's going to work out for you. What I'm most leaning toward, like I did a 72 C10 for my brother-in-law, and I put a Chevy Blazer tank in that, a K5 Blazer. And because the K5 Blazer tank fits between the rear frame rails, and you can either get the older one for that, which is carbureted, or you can get a newer one, which is fuel injected. His, I put an ALS engine in, so I got one of the fuel injected ones, and they reproduce those tanks. So maybe you want to look at that. I can't say whether it'll fit between the frame rails on a 62, just because I'm not familiar with that truck enough. I know the frames are different from these 63 and up ones, but I don't know about any of that. I would say try checking out the K5 Blazer tanks. Maybe you can get a junkyard tank that'll work out for you, or they reproduce them. The last one I bought at Advance Auto. I went and my brother-in-law's truck, 72 C10, I actually went to a junkyard. I pulled a Blazer tank out of it because we were trying to do that truck on a budget. I went and pulled it out, got it all together. I wire brushed it, was going to scuff it, and it started leaking after I wire brushed it. I just wire brushed it, and it pinholed through the tank. So I ended up going and buying a new tank anyway. But a new tank was like $100, I want to say. That's cheaper than you're going to find for an aftermarket tank. And not trying to whatever, but like if the aftermarket tanks you're finding are out of your budget, that's the best option I have for you for a affordable option. Steven, do you ever see big wheel cars or donks at SEMA? I think they're cool, but they don't exist in Canada. Yes, to a small degree. There's not a lot of them there. I personally, and let's just speak this into the world, I want to build a donk. I really, really want to build a donk. I've seen a couple of them down here in North Carolina, not a lot, but I've seen a couple of them. And when I lived in Texas, they were pretty common. And I really want to build one. It's just different. It's something I don't get to do. And no offense to the people who are into them, but a lot of them are built pretty poorly. The quality on them is not that great on a lot of them. I've seen some really, I mean, just like anything, every type of car, hot rods, muscle cars, there's a sector of people who just build crappy ones. And that's the same for donks. I would love to do a really nice one. Really put my level of detail into a donk. I want to do that. But I got to find a customer for it. Maybe in Philadelphia I'll be able to find a customer for that. I don't know. That's the problem. Like, I really want to build an EV, an electric vehicle. I'd love to build an electric hot rod or muscle car. But I can't afford to do it myself, and I don't have any customers who are interested in it. Owen, how do you feel about running manual rack on a truck? Depends what you're talking about. Like, this truck here has the aftermarket front suspension. What's in this one is a Thorbeck Brothers suspension, P47 drop member for it. And this has a rack and pinion, which has we are running the Mustang rack in this. That's what it runs. Most of these suspension kits do. There's pros and cons to each. And honestly, I mostly lean toward manual rack. A pet peeve of mine, one thing I really don't like, is all of these aftermarket suspensions that use these Mustang racks. They have one major problem, and that is cruising. I had a friend back in Pennsylvania who has two projects. He built his wife a Rambler wagon with a Mustang 2 front suspension, and hers has a manual rack and pinion in it. His truck, he has a F1 Ford pickup truck with a Mustang 2 in it as well. Both of them are on air ride. His has power rack. And his wife the story he told me is they went to a car show and his wife was going to park it and she was getting fed up with it because trying to park it at a car show was so much effort with the manual rack and she just hated it. And she was complaining to him that it had manual steering. And he said to her, okay, well, on our ride back home, you take the F1 because that's got power steering. And if you still want power steering by the time we get home, I'll put power steering in your car. By the time they got home, she didn't want it. She was happy with her manual steering because the problem is the power steering with these Mustang racks in these vehicles out on the highway, they have too much assist. So they get kind of floaty and little bitty inputs in the steering wheel will make you drift. And it doesn't feel good. I want heavy steering personally on a vehicle when I'm on the highway. And that's something that manual steering does give you. So actually, in some ways, I think manual steering is a positive, a pro on projects like this. But then when you're in a parking lot or slow RPM, around town, the power steering is really nice to have. I haven't played with it enough, but I really want to try out some of the modern electric assist steering because they actually use force sensors. I think I featured them in one or two videos in the past, where the electric assist systems, it goes in line, so you use a manual rack or a manual steering box, and then you have your column, and in place in between your steering shaft, you have the electric assist unit, and that actually senses how much effort is being applied through a force sensor, and it can tell that you don't need as much effort, so it'll actually reduce the amount of torque input on the highway. So I really want to play with one of those because I feel like that might be the best of both worlds. I haven't done it yet. I haven't had a project where it made sense because unfortunately, a lot of my projects are limited on underhood space, street rods. How do I fit an electric power steering unit that can be this big underneath a dashboard on a street rod? Ain't gonna happen. So, there's some of that at play there. Oh. There's a skylight. There's a skylight directly above me here, which was smart of my dad to get in here and have light, but it keeps shining light. It's been a problem because I've been filming like right underneath of it a lot here, and the sun comes and goes. So like there'll suddenly be a cloud and I'll have to change exposure on my camera. And then the cloud goes away and I have to change the exposure on my camera again. And it's so annoying to control the light. And what about manual brakes with 4-wheel disc? I've done it. I don't recommend it. I don't know. If you're strong and you don't mind a heavy pedal, it's perfectly fine. Plenty of race cars run manual brakes. The kind of stuff that I build, I don't recommend it for customers. I recommend assist, 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 whether it be hydro boost assist or vacuum assist. I recommend it. It's a nice to have. Standing on that brake pedal, if a manual brake setup is set up properly, you have the properly sized master cylinder, properly matched to your calipers, front and rear disc brakes, and your bias is adjusted properly, it works beautifully. It will stop the car, no problem. But it's just always gonna have more pedal effort than I like. If I'm building a race car, we might deal with that. That might be okay. But honestly, if I was building a race car, I'd probably put in a vacuum pump and run a vacuum assist setup anyway, personally. But I'm not looking to do it. If I was worried about weight, I would go with manual, but I'm not. So I build street cars, you know. Primarily for a long time now, I've been building street cars, things that are intended to be driven, and my customers want assist. Most of my customers are older folks who remember driving manual brake cars when they were younger, and they don't want to go back to it. I don't blame them. I always feel like every time I drive a manual brake car, because I grew up driving power assist brake vehicles, like I always is this thing gonna stop? Because I'm used to that feeling when your booster goes out. Like, I don't know, which is not the same thing, but whatever. Yeah, I don't recommend it, but you can do it. You can set it up properly. If you're gonna do manual assist braking, especially with four-wheel disc, talk with the people that you are getting your brakes set up from. Somebody like Master Power Brakes that I've been dealing with I'm doing a video about that too. I put rear disc brakes on the 60. Let's see if we can see here. I put the rear disc brakes on the 65, and I put the rear disc brakes on the 65, and those are from Master Power Brakes, and I know they sell boosters and front and rear disc brake kits. You know, they could size up something for you that would work. But they mostly, being Master Power Brakes, they mostly do power brakes, so. They just launched some really neat new products, which they're called the Carbon X brake boosters. They just look neat. They have like a carbon fiber design on the outside of them, billet rings around them. That's one of the many things on cars. Like, I've been building custom cars for years now, and I'll spend weeks getting the body exactly how I want it. I'll deburr all of my suspension parts, and I'll curve all of my pieces, and I'll make them flow and look really good. And then we pick up like $100 brake booster at the local parts store and bolt it to the firewall. And it drives me nuts. These little details that just stick out. Or like the rack and pinions, the rack and pinion that's in this truck is an A1 Cardone rack and pinion setup from Advanced Auto Parts. $100 rack and pinion setup. Like, that's nothing special. It just is what it is. And it works just fine. For a build like this, it's fine. But if I was doing a show build, like, there are very few companies making beautiful rack and pinion setups. There's one in Australia, but I can't remember the name of. I was trying to think about it yesterday. I've tried to deal with them before, but because of the time difference, they just it was difficult. I don't know. These companies, there's these little things in the industry that feel like they're lacking. And custom brake boosters, there's no reason that somebody couldn't make a fully billet brake booster. Yeah, it might cost $1,000, but it would fit on certain projects. If I'm building a $300,000 car, $1,000 brake booster is perfectly fine for that project. It's a drop in the bucket. And that's what I'm talking about. I have legitimately built $250,000 cars with $100 brake boosters on them, and I hate it. Oh. Diesel Punk is here. Hello, sir. Oh, yes. So once I'm done with the stream, I got to make gauges. I'm working on the hard lines for this truck, and I forgot to bring my gauges with me, which means I'm going to cut this piece up into just sections and bend to 90. and mark where the start point of the bend is and the end point of the bend, and then bend a 45 and a 180 and all of that. And that way I can mark on them, and I can use that, and I can hold it up against the tubing and mark where I want my bends to be. That's one of my tips from my hardline tubing basics video that I do, but I forgot to bring my I have a handful of them made up that I always keep around for that purpose. I forgot to bring them with me, so. This was just a test piece. I mounted the fuel regulator, the fuel pressure regulator on the truck, and where I put it, I was concerned it wasn't gonna fit once I bent the tubes and put them on it. So I had to bend up just these two. It mounts kind of like this, and I wasn't sure that the height would fit within the frame rail. So I had to bend up a couple of template pieces and see if they were gonna fit, and it ended up fitting. I'm gonna be able to do it, so. But these test pieces that I had to make are no good now. They were just tests, so. Trying to think if there is anything I haven't covered that I intended to cover. Let's see, SEMA 2020, not a thing. I wasn't gonna go anyway. Talk about what projects I'm gonna be working on the truck, the plumbing videos, AN plumbing, AC plumbing, the wiring videos, EFI wiring, and also the body wiring on that thing. I also got the rear brake install for that brake kit. Those videos are all coming soon. I got that C10, that 900 plus horsepower C10 that I got to check out this week. That I got a video coming about that as well. Hopefully, I actually picked up a brand new, well, a new to me, a used new camera this week, and I tested it out for the first time filming that truck, and I think the footage is going to be gorgeous, but for all I know, I'm going to get home and start to edit it and realize that I filmed it all wrong because I'd never used the camera before. That was a really big gamble to do, but hopefully it pays off because it's either going to look amazing or be completely useless footage. I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out. Hopefully amazing. I'm hoping for amazing, and I'm betting on amazing, but we'll see. That truck sounded so sick though. God, there's nothing like a V8 engine putting out 10,000 RPM. Like, I enjoy domestics and I enjoy, not domestics, European cars, like V12s and V10s and these things. It just, RPMs just sound good no matter what it's coming out of. But a V8 just has that American sound to it, even when it's turning 10, 11,000 RPM. Diesel Punk, you said you were decided to redo your chassis on your truck yet again. Well, I don't blame you. Is that just because your skills have advanced, so you've gotten to a point where you're like, I can do better than that now? That's my biggest problem. My personal projects always end up, and that's what happened with this truck in some ways. Because this 65 was mine before it was my dad's, and when I bought it, I was working in a hot rod shop, and we were mostly doing like minor restoration work and repair work and engine stuff, and like I was doing a lot of what I do now, but on a much smaller scale. So I was just looking to build myself a quick little run around town truck. And now I build full on high-end custom cars. So, you know, project gets put to the wayside because I'm like, well, my skills gotten better. I know better techniques now. There are better parts now. So like I can do this stuff. Yeah, sounds like you're in the same place that I would have been. Because like this truck here, 100%, if I was building this truck for myself, the GMC that I've been working on for my dad, I would build a full custom chassis underneath it. I wouldn't be using any of the suspension or chassis underneath of it now. It's all good stuff, and it's gonna be a great truck. It's just me, like, I've built full chassis since I bought this truck, and I've built full, you know, like I've built full suspensions and all this stuff that, why wouldn't I build myself that? So, yeah. So it's probably a good thing that it's my dad's truck because it would probably never get done if it wasn't. Interior plans for the C10, super basic. Let me think here. Most of the interior on this truck is metal. You can kind of see it there. Underneath the back window is a metal panel. The roof headliner is metal. It's the interior panel of the truck. The part that in the a video that we POR 15 that when I replaced the roof skin. The other side of that POR 15 panel is just the roof of this truck. The headliner of this truck is that. So bench seat, my dad, we have the bench seat. It's right next to me right now. It's nothing special. Well, let's take a look around. I might as well show you. I can. So, once I figure out how to flip the camera. Like, there's the bench seat that's going in the truck, but it's going to get reupholstered before it goes in the truck. That's just, I bought that years ago and it was freshly reupholstered then, but it's sat in a garage and turned to crap. And it wasn't a very good upholstery job anyway on that thing when I bought it. So that's going in here. Oh, you can see here how the roof is already the headliner basically of this truck. And all we're intending to do is paint it. That's it. I would like to do a upholstered insert panel for a headliner, mainly not for looks so much as to reduce noise because the metal might be a little echoey inside here. We did put that, on the other side of that is both a POR 15 and also Dynamat. So that should really cut down on the noise. And we're also going to Dynamat, well, not Dynamat, we're going to use the Amazon brand sound deadening, double layer probably on the floor and up the firewall. Then the dashboard is going to be painted body color, which is going to be a baby blue, actually kind of similar to that. So that's going to be done. I shaved the speaker for the radio, and I showed it in the update video, but I'm going to be doing a double din radio right here, most likely. That's going to be the air ride controller, the buttons to push for the height adjustment. And this is going to be the AC controls. All this is just going to be painted body color. And our current thought is body color, but the top of the dash is going to be matte clear. And this is going to be a regular clear coat. Just to cut down a reflection on the top of the dashboard and kind of give it almost a plasticky look to it, like a modern car dashboard maybe. It's got a CPP column in there. We also have kick panel speakers. Let me see if I can find those quick. Oh, I wonder where that stuff ended up. Ah, here. Kick panel speakers. So it's going to get a pair of 6.5 speakers in the kick panel. And we were going to get rid of the kick panel vents, but we've realized that they're not in the way of anything. So I think my dad's going to keep them. So, I mean, if you've ever driven a vehicle that has kick panel vents, they're actually kind of nice. Like in the spring when you don't need the AC yet, it could be kind of really nice to have those. So I think we're going to keep them. And then these will probably get painted, body color or black. It might stay black. The carpet's going to be black in the truck, and we're putting black seat belts in the truck. Seat belts should be in this week, hopefully. So we're doing shoulder belts, so I want to get the belts in it before it goes off paint and body. At least the mounting, the bosses, and if I need to reinforce the pillar, I want to do that. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's gonna be really pretty basic. The overall intent of this truck has been and is to keep it largely looking stock. I know there are a lot of like heavily custom details, obviously. I mean, that's not stock. The whole point of it has been kind of to keep it stock, but laying on the ground. So it's custom and it's got a lot of custom detail, but then it's also kind of like a stock truck just laid out. The only custom things you'll really see from the outside of this truck when you walk by the show is obviously it'll be laying on the ground because of the air ride. It'll have fender exit exhaust right here in front of the wheel well. It'll have the billet wheels on, or the aluminum aftermarket wheels are around here somewhere. Yeah, it'll have those wheels on it, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, like, as long as the hood's not popped, it'll look pretty stock just laid out. That's kind of always been both my intention and my dad. We both kind of agreed that that's kind of what the vision we both had for the truck was that a stock truck just laid out. Because we both really like the stock look of these things and how they looked back in the day and how they look now. I think it's a really good looking truck. I think Personally, I think it was too ambitious for GM, and that's why they stopped making them like that anyway. Oh, But yeah, yeah. So the interior is gonna be really pretty basic. You know, the most custom touches that'll be in there is the dashboard, where I'm gonna put that radio setup, custom radio setup, the kick panel speakers. Other than that, it's gonna look pretty stock. I'm probably gonna modify the factory cluster to put aftermarket gauges in it and just leave it alone. Like, I don't see any reason to get crazy with it. Though I haven't 100% decided. When I get back to Philadelphia, I'm gonna pick up a 3D printer. I'm gonna start practicing learning that design and all of that stuff, skill and all of that. And there's a handful of details for the interior that I want to 3D print custom. Like the AC controls, I want to make a custom oval bezel behind them. Preferably even says like fan, heat, AC like on it. And then the air ride controller for the actual push button thing, I want to make a bezel that goes around that. So who knows? If I get confident enough, maybe I'll make a whole freaking gauge cluster. Can do it. It's doable. It's out of my skill set at the moment, but gotta learn sometime. So, yeah. Anybody have any other questions? Anything else on the truck that I haven't shown you've been interested in, or anything I haven't shown enough of? There's been a few things I posted lately that I wasn't happy with the photographs I posted or whatever, personally. Oh, I got my cell phone plugged in here, but it doesn't show me the battery life on it, so I don't even know what the battery life is like. The bed floor is raised. It will not tilt up. It's fixed. I wanted to do a tilt up originally, but it just didn't. It was just more time than we had when we built the raised bed floor to do that. My dad mostly handled the raised bed floor stuff, and he's actually going to do. He's a carpenter, so he's going to do a custom wood bed for it once on assembly. As far as accessing all the stuff, the air ride and all that underneath, what we're going to be doing is there's actually behind the step notch above the gas tank, my dad's going to be building a storage area underneath the bed floor. So like if he goes to a car show, he can put up some folding chairs in there and maybe a little cooler to take to a car show. And inside of there, I'm going to put jumper points and an air port. So if the compressor fails, you could air up the system and lift the truck up and move it if you need to. And if the battery dies, you can at least jump it or charge it or whatever without having to get underneath of it to do so. Now, the truck is capable of laying frame, but it doesn't. My dad didn't want to for failure reasons. He was worried, well, if I pop the bag, is it going to drag on the ground? And yeah, it would. So we put bump stops in it that keep it about an inch to inch and a half off the ground. It's close, but it doesn't lay frame. So worst case scenario, if some odd reason all 4 bags popped, he could still move it. So there's that. But yeah, so I wanted to do the tilt up bed thing, but it was just so much more work in the mix. And when the bed floor stuff got done, I was working up front on the front of the truck, and my dad was working on the back, and it was just, we didn't have time at that time to undertake that. What happened to your chin? A bear attack. Anyway, no, my chin is scarification. It was cut purposely, body modification. Years ago I had it done, so just a personal thing. I like it. I was either going to tattoo it or I was going to cut it. I decided to cut it. Kind of wish I had tattooed it. I like it. Still like it. But, yeah. Yep. I know. It's weird. A lot of people think it's weird. Oh, Diesel Punk, 5 years and 15K into the project and literally 0 progress. I know that feeling. I definitely know that feeling. That was this truck for me until I sold it to my dad. Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. History of them. Freaking this phone. I keep getting pop-ups from emails and stuff I don't care about. But, all right, I need to work on AN stuff today. Work on plumbing this AN system so that I can move on. I want to get this AN system done by like Monday, hopefully, which I think is probably way too ambitious. But if I can get the fuel system plumbed, I can get the air system plumbed, I can move on to the wiring after that. And that's my biggest hurdles. Once I get those done, I can move on home. Oh, doing a Jeep J10. I've seen a couple of those slammed out, and you were right, there's no aftermarket for those, but they are really neat. You don't see that a lot. You don't see J10s often at all, and then a slammed one, whew, that's cool. I appreciate that. I can appreciate that. How many hours a day am I working on the truck? For the most part, we only do like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week. When we very first started working on this truck, my dad kind of set that out there. Was like, you know, I'm not expecting us to pull all-nighters all the time just to get this done. Like, there's no reason to kill ourselves doing this. Let's just work like it's a job and get it done. That way we can sustain and keep going. I mentioned you before you were here, Diesel Punk. I mentioned like I got sick of SEMA last year, and that's part of it. Personally, I just have a thing about I get really sick if I push it too much. Like if I work too much, I can't do the 16-hour days or any of that crap. It just I get like my eyes get super dry and I get eczema breakouts and I get sick. My immune system goes through the floor if I try to work that hard. It's just a reality of my body. So we don't push it. As far as the other stuff, what was it? I'm living off savings at the moment. I was collecting, but I don't know, whatever. That whole system is messed up right now. So I'm living off savings, just living. Yeah, I mean, like I don't. Maybe it's a normal thing. I have Lyme disease, and I think it might be associated with that. Like I can feel it coming on if I don't get enough sleep, and I push myself too hard one night, or like I did it a couple of weeks ago. One of the videos I got together for you folks some weeks ago. I worked till like midnight, and I got it done, and I pushed through, and I got it all together. But then the entire weekend, I was spent. Like I could barely move. I just felt awful. And if I would have kept pushing, I would have gotten sick. I know it. So I can't do it. And I feel like some people probably might judge that and be like, oh, you know, you just don't have the work ethic. But I physically can't do it. I see these guys like the folks talking with them, that MRC Fab C10. One thing I haven't mentioned yet, that truck that they're taking out to the Pro Touring Truck Shootout, they built that entire truck from nothing in 13 weeks. 13 weeks straight, they hammered to build a full custom tube chassis, full custom suspension, all the body work, the paint. I mean, it's not a show car paint job, it's a race truck, but they CNC machined their own wheels for that truck. Everything they built in 13 weeks. And I couldn't do that. I would be dead. Like, I'm not joking. I probably would be dead. So whatever. What's the hardest thing for me to do on the truck? Know when enough is enough. My dad's been really good about that with me, about stopping me. Because if I get in my own head, I will focus on details so much that, don't get me wrong, like there's nothing wrong with, if I have the time, there's nothing wrong with spending a week on one thing. if a customer is willing to pay for it, if I have the time there, but I don't, not right now. So there are plenty of things on this truck that I have to just say that's acceptable. That's good enough. I'm not saying there's anything, I'm not cutting corners, but there's dents that I could fix better. You know, normally I would probably hammer out a dent a little more than I am on this truck because I would want less bodywork on it. But I'm having to accept that that's just the reality of this project. I need to keep moving. So that's the hardest thing for me, is knowing when enough is enough. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, that's the best I got. Knowing when enough is enough. And dictating. That's another one. Because I've been working with my dad together. I've been working with my dad side by side, and I'm really bad about lining up work for him. I know what I need to do, and I know what I feel I'm like. He's better than I think he is, and I don't mean that. What I mean is he can do more than I give him credit for a lot of the time. And I know that. In my head, I know that, but then there are just things where I'm like, no, I need to do that. And then I don't know what I can tell you to do today. So owning my own shop and dictating things to employees might be a nightmare for me. I saw you asked something there. Do you plan on doing custom paint on the truck? The paint job is going to be pretty basic. It's going to be baby blue body. Not this blue, like this lift here, more like that shop rag that I showed earlier. I don't have anything here, but it's gonna be, the color's kind of be between this and this, between the two of those, like a darker baby blue. And then the roof is gonna be white. A lot of people, when they do these trucks, they paint from here on the B pillar and A pillar all the way up, and they do that all white. I don't like that. My dad doesn't like it either. It works okay on the Chevys because the Chevys have trim that breaks it up. But on these, there's no trim on the GMC. So we're going to do just the roof cap white. And that's as custom as the paint is going to get. I personally would like to see the inner fenders and some of the underhood stuff white as well, to tie the white in a little more. My dad and I are going back and forth on that. He wants the inner fenders to be black. I don't, personally. Just my personal preference, but... Yeah, Diesel Punk, I saw you basically, seems like you basically run the shop. I mean, I get a little, how do I put it? I've managed shops before. I have managed a shop before and told people what to do and blah, blah, blah. And I often kind of take a team leadership approach and roll to things. It's part of I work best by myself. And I work best as my own boss. And in some regards, it's good to have that structure for me too. So, can go either way. I'm not good with authority, but then I sometimes need a kick in the butt to get moving. So yeah, I don't know. I go both ways. Who knows? What I honestly think, if I ever open my own shop and I get employees, what I really think I would do is get some kids fresh out of school and teach them, train them up, teach them what to do. Rather than hire some older folks who are set in their ways, I'd probably rather pick up somebody who has no idea what they're doing and teach them, show them how to do it. A lot of people aren't willing to put the time in to do that, which from a monetary sense makes sense. So whether or not I'll ever actually be able to do that, I don't know. I might not be able to afford to ever actually do that. Who knows? I might never actually open my own shop technically. So, don't know. Oh, and you asked, will the wiring be mostly hidden? Yes, it will be. The engine wiring, of course, will not be. I personally, what we're going for in this one, I'm not looking to do covers and hide all the wiring. I think good wiring can be done on an EFI engine. It can just look good and it can just go and work. Metal Bob with the super chat. Thank you so much. I highly appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. That definitely helps out. What was I saying? I think on an EFI system that wiring can be part of the overall picture. I don't care for hiding it. I don't like making covers on engines that hide everything, because where's the engine? You know, like, wiring is part of it, and it can be done well. And that's what I aim to do with this one. That's why I have the harness that I have, and I'm definitely doing a dedicated video about that. On the body wiring, I'm going to be hiding as much of it as I can. There's some stuff on this truck, unfortunately, that I can't hide. I try to always hide all of my stuff, but on this one I can't, because the hood lights, the turn signals are in the hood, so I have to run the wiring from the cowl to the hood, and that basically makes it a pain. So, Metal Bob, you love the t-shirt from SEMA last year. Thank you so much for contributing in that regard, both now with the super chat, I appreciate that, but also with the t-shirt, I appreciate that as well. When I get back to Philadelphia, one of my first things that I intend to do is to create a real website. Like right now, if you go to HotRodHippie.com, it directs you directly to the YouTube channel. And all my merchandise, my t-shirts and stuff, is through Teespring right now. And they're good quality, but it takes forever. If you order one of my t-shirts from Teespring right now, it takes like weeks to get it. I don't like that. I don't like, it's no good for I don't want people to have to wait. I've had people contact me and say, hey, I ordered your stuff. It's not, I have no control over that. It all comes through them. It's all print to order, and it takes forever. So when I get to Philadelphia, I'm going to create a real website, and I want to do my own merchandise and keep it in-house. So like, have my own in-stock merchandise. I have to figure that out though, because I have cats, so I don't really want, like, if somebody's allergic to cats, I don't want them to get one of my t-shirts and then have an allergic reaction. So I got to figure that out, but we'll cross that bridge. So thank you so much, and I'm sure I'll do more. Like right now, the t-shirts that I have just say Hot Rod Hippie across the shirt, and that's it. But I'll definitely do some more cool, like the SEMA shirt that Metal Bob is referring to. There is on the back. It says, it's got a picture, a cross section of an airbag, an engineering drawing of an airbag, and it says "Drop cars, not bombs." And I wear mine all the time. I love it, and I want to do more unique designs like that. So we will do that at some point. Owen, thank you so much for the super chat as well. I'm glad I could answer any of your questions, and I hope that the wiring videos I have coming in the near future will show you some tips or techniques that you might find useful for your project. I hope so. So good luck with that. I mean, Jeeps, those full-size Jeeps are cool. I'm not a Jeep person by any means, but I like the full sizes. Wagoneers and the J trucks. I have a buddy in high school who was big into those. He had we called it the cow, spotted cow, because it was urban camo, the white and black and gray Wagoneer, and I always enjoyed that. That was a cool truck. I've always kind of wanted one, but I can't justify it. I've just always been such a Chevy guy, GM guy. Yeah. Thank you, folks, for hanging out. Thank you for the super chats, and thanks for everything. I appreciate you folks being around. I appreciate everybody who watches. I really do. You know, I'd love for this channel to just keep on growing, and it's continuing to do so. And ideally, hopefully, maybe I can do this as a full-time job someday. Who knows? But oh yeah, there was a question back there. Sorry, Diesel Punk, you asked, and Diesel Punk, yeah, I said that I had a limited amount of time to work on my truck, and it's months later now. When do I go back to Philly? Don't know. Yeah, I was hoping to be back in Philly by the end of June, beginning of July. Now it's August. So it's just, this truck has been 2 steps forward, 1 step back the entire way. And it is what it is. I'm hoping to be back to Philadelphia in the next 2 weeks. Next weekend is my ultimate goal, but I think that's probably too ambitious. So probably the following week, in that week, I'll probably head back. I just got these last things to finish up. Once I get the wiring done on this thing, once I get the wiring done on this and the plumbing and the wiring done, actually, I don't even need the body on for the plumbing, but once I get the plumbing and the wiring done, the truck is going to get disassembled and it's going to be off to paint and body. The bed is already off at the body shop now. They're already working on that. They're blocking it out right now. And I haven't seen it since we dropped it off, but my dad says they're doing a great job. I assume, I know I met the owner of the shop and he seemed to know his shit, and he talked the talk, and he said some things that told me that we were going to get a good quality job out of him. So I'm happy about that. Yeah, I've got a little bit of metal work to finish on the hood that I haven't finished just because I'm going to just take the hood off and work on a bench, but I need the hood on there to wire it. So rather than take the hood off, finish it, and put it back on, I'm just going to leave it on until I'm done the wiring, and I can take the wiring out, pull the hood off, and finish it, and just be done with that once. That's just a time management thing. So, cool. Yeah. Like, so many things in this truck. My dad's added numerous things to the project as we went that just I didn't expect. When I came down here, I didn't expect the fender exit exhaust. I kind of knew he wanted that, but I didn't know for sure that he wanted that, and then he did. So I had to make tips, and I had to make bezels for the fender exit. I had to cut those into the bed before the bed went off to paint and body. That had to get done. And then the roof, we were stripping a little bit of body filler on the truck that I found, and then I found more dents on the back of the truck that I didn't realize were there on the back of the cab that I had to work on. The roof, we found the rot on the roof, so we had to fully replace the roof skin. Those are all things I didn't plan for when I came here, unfortunately, but that's how these projects go. I should have padded my schedule more. Like, I figured 6 to 8 weeks when I came down here, and I'm at least at 8 weeks now. No, I'm probably closer to 12, I guess. I forget. I have lost all track of time. I rarely leave. I'm at my parents' house. I rarely leave other than go grocery shopping, and that's about it. So, since I've been here, I went up to Winston-Salem this week to film that C10 truck and take a look at that. And one day a couple of weeks ago, I went down to South Carolina for the Kill Fab shop, the fabrication series, or the fabrication forums on YouTube here. I went down and checked out his shop and hung out with him for the day. And yeah, so other than that, I barely left the house. So I hope to be back to Philadelphia in the very near future so I can start looking for my own shop, get my office set up, and finish the videos that I have. Because right now, all I'm doing is I'm filming this video today. I filmed the brake setup, and I'm just putting all that onto an external hard drive. And I have to edit it when I get back to Philadelphia because my laptop just can't do it right now. So, unfortunately, that was dumb. My laptop was acting up on me, which I know so much better than this, but my laptop was acting up on me, and it seemed like it was overheating. Like, it kept getting really hot. So I blew out the fans with shop air, and I know better than to do that. But one of the fans in it spun so fast that it exploded. That was so stupid of me. But getting a replacement fan for an HP laptop has proved rather difficult. I found a couple vendors that supposedly list it, but they all say they can't have it to me till September or October. So I'm just up a creek right now. I can't edit without it overheating, and I can't have it overheating while I edit. So is what it is. Yes. So. Oh, and Metal Bob, thank you for the super chats. Anybody else got anything going on today they want to talk about? Any other questions? I've been on here for about an hour and a half now. It's probably time to start winding down. I usually aim for these to be an hour, and I always overshoot that. And if I talk all day, I will not get any work done. So, actually, I could do a little work while I'm sitting here. Cut this thing. Start cutting this down so I can make my templates I was talking about earlier, my gauges, as I call them. I also need a new damn cutter. I left my tubing, I forgot to bring a tubing cutter with me, so I'm just using this little one that my dad has, which actually was working well. It's working okay on the stainless. It would be nice to have a better one though. The one that I have back in Pennsylvania is tired anyway. It's time for a new one, so. that's just been the reality. It's the unfortunate factor of coming down to a shop like this, somebody else's shop, and working, is I only have the tools that I have on hand and how much I could fit in my car, and I wasn't able to bring everything that I wanted, and some of it has been a problem, and some of it I've gotten away with without having. So, like I didn't bring a body file, which is so stupid. I use a body file all the time. So I had to buy a new body file and have it shipped in. And then, you know, dumb things like that. So, it is what it is. Yay. Okay. How I debro tubing. Just a countersink bit on a drill. Cool. Tubing deburred. Works okay on stainless. You can get a little aggressive with it when you do aluminum. Where's my tubing bender? Bender. I was talking about making those gauges. So what I'm going to do is right now, I'm making one of my templates for tubing bending, for bending my hardline tubes. So you can see here, I got the tubing in here. I'm going to mark at that 0 mark, and then I'm going to bend to 90, and then I will mark the 90 mark on this tube. And then I'll have this piece to use as a template so that I can go ahead and hold this up against other tubes and use it in the future. Okay. Little spring back. Okay. Now I mark my 90 mark. Like I said there, my 0 mark, my 90 mark. Slap that out of the way. Now I can finish marking these around. And now I have a 90-degree gauge. I'll cut this off out here, and then I can hold this up against whatever I'm working with. So if I need a 90 somewhere, I hold it up against there. I can mark where my 90 is. And then, boom. I can use that for a marking indicator. This works out so much better than trying to measure things. Like I used to do measurements, and I would be like, oh, where's my bend gonna end and all that? But real world application, this is so much quicker. You know, the 1 or 2 times my math would be off, and like this just works out so much better for me. Oh, I miss any questions? Nope. Okay. Hope if anybody's working on their projects today, they're gonna make some progress, more than I'm gonna make, hopefully. I feel like maybe I'm feeling like maybe I'm gonna run some errands after this before I get into the real work of today, and then hopefully I get back to it. But I know myself, it's Saturday. I might just skip it and hit the ground running tomorrow morning. I've been taking weekends while I'm here. I haven't been working Saturday and Sunday because I've been devoting that to either making videos for you folks or resting so I don't overdo it. And as such, I haven't gotten as much done as I would like to, so I will get more, hopefully, done this weekend so I can move forward and go back to Philadelphia. Because I'm 35 and currently living at my parents' place, technically. So there's my template. And now if, like, say, I know that to get around this part, I need a 90 degree on this, I can just hold this up against there. Let me show it to your side. I can hold that up against there. I can mark it and go from there. Cool, Steven. Hope you're getting some stuff done. So one of the many things I'm not looking forward to when I get back to Philadelphia is unpacking. All my stuff is in boxes right now. Metal Bob, when is the next live show going to occur? Probably the first weekend of September. I want to do a once a month live stream. I want to get back in the habit of that. That was my goal for the beginning of 2020, was to do once a month live streams like this. And so probably the first weekend of September. Maybe I'll keep doing the first weekend of each month. That sounds like a pretty solid plan to me. You know, maybe I can outline what I have coming each month for you folks as far as projects are concerned, or what's going on around, or whatever. Or if there's a car show I can go to when the world isn't on fire, I can. I just got a new phone, this one here, and I'm loving it. I'm liking it a lot better than my last one as far as the image quality is concerned. So I feel good enough about streaming like this. Like I'm just streaming over cellular to you folks right now from my cell phone. It's working fine. So I think it is. I mean, you folks tell me if there's any problems with it or if it's dropped out or anything. Nobody said anything, so I assume it's working okay. Hey, I hope I taught you something, or I could. I hope I could teach you some things. At least you pick up some information from this stream that you can apply to your project. Then it's not a waste of your time. See? Yep, Califia bomb. Or Califia, I think is the way they pronounce it. Yep, I love this stuff. I drink far too much of this. Especially because it's cheaper than going to a good quality coffee shop, and it's still really good. So, and ideally, if I do find a workshop in Philadelphia, like I say, that's a big goal of mine. If and when I find a workshop in Philadelphia, maybe I'll roll monthly live streams into actual shop projects. Like if I have a workshop like this that I can set up and I can do a live stream from, I can do some hands-on demonstrations and we can talk while I'm working on projects. I should have done a little more of that today probably, but it's my first time. You know, I'm usually sitting in my living room when I do these streams, so. I'm actually really tempted when I'm back in Philadelphia to start a Twitch channel and live stream a lot more often, but not like this HotRodHippie content, like, I don't know, video games or just chat with people, just for something to do. And my office will be set up so I can do it anyway. I'll have the option. But then I could maybe also live stream on there from the workshop once in a while too. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that concept. 45 degree. Bender just hit me in the face. All right, now I got my 45. I'll do one or two more, maybe a 30 degree angle and a 180 degree. And then if I end up needing more, I'll do more from there. I don't know why I didn't, like, this is something I only started doing about a year ago, year and a half ago. These templates, I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. So handy. Oh, make one more of these and I think I'll probably head out after that. So. I got my 90 and my 45 degree. I think I will do a 30 degree next. Those are pretty common angles for me. 30, 45, 90, obviously. 135 and a 180 would be a good idea. I'll cross that bridge later. This tube is getting short, so. I bought this, you can see it over my shoulder here. I bought a 100-foot spool. I usually buy 25-foot spools or 20-foot spools from Summit of stainless tubing. And I guess they probably get them from China because they're completely out of stock until like September. So yeah, I ended up getting this from a company that this 100-foot spool was actually really reasonably priced compared to other options, from a company out of Connecticut that does brewery stuff. They were selling it for like your home brewing kit. So I guess if you're setting up a brewery, you might use 100-foot of stainless steel food grade tubing, but I'm using it to plumb the air ride system and the fuel system on a 65 GMC. All right. 0 degree, 30 degree. But yeah, I'll give you folks that link when I do the dedicated video, because it was like $1 a square foot, or $1 a foot, something around there. Whereas most companies for stainless steel tubing, you're talking like $3, $4 a foot. You know, like the only stuff Summit had in stock was, I want to say $60, $70 for 20-foot length. And that's, the Summit brand stuff is more like $30. So it was a little hard to justify. And then I found this stuff, and I was a little worried I was going to get it in and it wasn't going to be good, or it wasn't going to work, like it'd be the wrong dimensions in some way. Since it wasn't intended to be AN, it was never marketed as such. But nope, works good. Flares well. It's tempered. I mean, granted, I'm flaring it with a hydraulic flaring tool, so it's easy for me to flare, but it's flaring well. It's not splitting, it's not doing anything, so it seems like it's annealed properly for my work. So I'm impressed. I'm digging it. All of my equipment, my video equipment, is dirty as hell from being in here. My camera's got a coating of dust on it. My lights all have a coating of dust on them. It's kind of it's a challenge I might have to consider going forward, because they're not cheap. I'm talking, you know, not cheap cameras and equipment and lights and stuff. And whoop, getting them all dirty and whatever is not ideal. So there's my 30 degree. Cool. There are my gauges for the moment. When parts are labeled as SFI approved, what does that mean? SFI approved is a not a sanctioning body, but a rating body or whatever. Basically, it means it's been tested and approved to meet specifications that are set forth by whatever company is producing it. You'll mostly see it on things like flywheels, flex plates, things that spin at high RPMs, because, you know, like, who was it? Don Garlitz, was it, who only has half a foot because a flex plate exploded and took half his foot with it? So it's that kind of stuff where, like, if you're going to spin in 10,000 RPM on an engine, your flywheel needs to be able to hold up to that. So they spin them up at 10,000 RPM and make sure that they can handle it. I forget what it stands for. I'm not big in the racing world anymore, or ever. But yeah, they basically validate that parts can handle what they need to handle for racing applications and for safety standards. So, you know, I think they also validate things like blower blankets and straps and such to make sure that they will hold up to, you know, racing. If a blower exploded and popped off the engine, it won't go flying off into the space. I think they approve that kind of stuff as well. Do they do seatbelts too? I believe. So they just validate that. It's just a group that validates that products will hold up to a standard that can be used safely in a racing application, basically. So I might end up putting a new balancer on this truck, just because the one that's on here is rusty and crusty, and it'd be nice to just have a nice new one. I could take this off and maybe blast it, and we don't have a blast cabinet here. I've been really missing having a blast cabinet. If and when I get a workshop, one of the first things I want to do is I want to build my own blast cabinet, because blast cabinets are so simple in reality. Like there's nothing to them. It's the gun, the pedal, the lighting, and the vacuum system is the hardest parts of it. But I think I can put together a decent one, like a big one. I want to be able to put like a rear axle into it. I miss having access to that, so maybe. I'll probably build some camera mounts into it so I can like film myself doing things, because that's what my life is about, apparently. All right, folks, I think that's going to be it for this stream. I appreciate all of you, especially thank you for super chats this time around. I appreciate that. It really helps out. Continue production of this content, of these videos, and making things happen. I appreciate it. I appreciate you folks for being here. I appreciate everybody who has watched. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thanks for checking things out. And yeah, more videos will keep on coming. I should have a video for you next Saturday. I'm not 100% what it'll be at this point. Probably be an update video again. See what we got done this week. Yeah, just that's the easiest thing for me to produce right now, since I'm literally editing videos on my iPad. So is what it is. So thank you for hanging out, and I will have more content for you back in the near future. Like I said, I'm working on AN fitting stuff, plumbing up systems, and wiring, and all of that. And next live stream, once again, next month. We'll be back to doing this monthly. I missed July just because I've been working on this project so much. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you in the next